Well, I'm so encouraged by this new technology of LiDAR and Doppler
Yeah,
that we're able to investigate these sites without really damaging them at all, right?
yeah, yeah. This is certainly the case. Certainly the case with lidar, and we're seeing very interesting results from satellite scans, which much more work needs to be done before there's any certainty about those results. But they're extremely interesting right now.
So I guess I've got to bring up the $1 million topic. There was a discovery underneath Egypt recently, and that's gone completely viral. There's a lot of sensational takes out there, and I don't think I've heard you publicly say anything about this
I have,
discovery.
I
Oh, you
have,
have?
I have probably said something.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
I'm going to tell you about it. Just a moment.
Because I remember being at your event, everybody was asking you about it, and this was like a
Well,
month ago. You were cautious to
yeah,
talk about it then.
I said look at my blog. So what I said in my blog on the 17th of April um, was that for those who've asked, I'm far from ready to take a position on the recent claims of underground structures detected beneath the Khafre pyramid at Giza. I'm not even sitting on the fence because there isn't a fence to sit on yet. Much more work needs to be done. What is clear, however, is that critics of Filippo Biondi's findings have misunderstood the potential of the method used and have been too hasty in dismissing it. In my opinion, the importance of Biondi's work is not that it proves anything at this stage, but that it should act as a spur for further research, which I have reason to believe will soon follow. So I could read more of it, but it's on my website, it's in my blog, and that is my statement of position. I don't know enough about the technology, but I have been working with a number of other people who know a lot more about it than I do. And it's beginning to be clear that the massive, instant, allergic reaction of dismissal that came from all the usual skeptics about the Filippo Biondi's work, that instant rejection, that instant hostility, that instant sneering, was yet another example of premature rejection in science. It's too early to reject this idea. The idea actually has quite a number of very interesting things going for it. And I will be appearing with Filippo Biondi sometime next week with him and Armando May and Corrado Malanga and my colleague Mano Sefzada as well. Primarily, we want to understand their method better. We're not amongst those who are saying, "Oh, this is rubbish, go away." We think it's interesting, and there are a number of ways to validate it or invalidate it further, and that's what needs to be done next. Nobody should be jumping to any immediate conclusions, either one way or the other on this. What we have here is an interesting, innovative, actually quite brilliant use of two technologies to arrive at subsurface imagery. Will that brilliance check out completely? More work needs to be done. Right now, I just think it's really interesting. It's worth exploring further, and I intend to stay on top of what's happening.
Is there resistance from Egypt over looking deeper into this?
Um, I think in Egypt the issue is that again, when I use the word allergic reaction, um, it's partly because people in these fields have been, whether it's archaeology or Egyptology, which is a sort of subspecialism of archaeology, um, have been bombarded over the years with so much, quite honestly, rubbish. From people with badly thought through ideas about, for example, Giza and what it might mean. That it's become a kind of automatic reaction on their part now to just dismiss everything that sounds in any way, fanciful or new age, and that's most unfortunate. Because they should realize that just as there is a diversity of opinion within archaeology, there's also a diversity of opinion on the opposite sides, and there are some very serious people working on what I don't have any choice but to characterize as the alternative as opposed to the mainstream side of archaeology. And I think it's unfortunate that the mainstream side of archaeology is so dismissive. What would have been much better would have been if they said nothing and got to grips with Filippo Biondi's method and what he's actually doing, the science that is actually involved. If they got to grips with that first, before pouring scorn on it, so much the better. But they didn't. They just instantly reacted and poured scorn on it, and again attempted to shape the narrative so that nobody will take this seriously. And that's too early for that to happen. This is potentially a very interesting method, and we need to see where it's going to take us. So I hope to learn more about it when I talk with the instigators next week.
Yeah, I've heard theories that the pyramids could be a power plant. Is there any validity to that?
Look, I mean, was it
Christopher Dunn?
Was it Obama who said that he could walk and chew gum at the same time? The reason I'm citing that is maybe the pyramids are more than one thing. Maybe they're not just one thing. There's a lot of possibilities, and the Great Pyramid is just a lot. There's so much to take in the Great Pyramid, and the detailed intricacy of its inner corridors and passageways, and its hidden shafts, and its bizarre, extraordinary well shaft that connects the bottom of the Grand Gallery to the subterranean chamber. It's really, I mean, it is the most extraordinary thing. I have no doubt in my own mind that amongst the tasks that the Great Pyramid serves is fundamentally a spiritual task. That this is fundamentally a piece of spiritual machinery that we're looking at here, that the ancient Egyptians saw and understood, a relationship between the living and the dying, between the afterlife and this life, and that they depicted it in certain ways. You can see on ancient Egyptian tombs, for example, the tomb of Thutmose III, you can see depictions of the Duat, of this underworld realm, or celestial realm, because it appears weirdly to be both, and they very much resemble the interior corridors and passageways of the Great Pyramid. So I just don't think it's possible to separate the Great Pyramid from the spiritual connection that the ancient Egyptians undoubtedly attached to it and saw it as serving. But could it have done other things as well? Why not? I think Chris Dunn's work is fascinating. I've known Chris since the early 1990s. He's a very thorough researcher. He knows his stuff when he's talking about machine tools. And he sees levels of machining and accuracy in the Great Pyramid that he doesn't see why that would be necessary for spiritual purposes. But it might be necessary to serve a material function. So I'm open to that. It's just not where I've gone with this material. I'm regarding the Great Pyramid as a place of spiritual manifestation. I think it was used for that in ancient Egyptian times. I think the role of altered states of consciousness in ancient Egyptian spirituality is one of those matters that needs to be further investigated. We know they used psychedelics of various sorts, but I think that the prospect of the initiate being placed alone in the heart of the Great Pyramid in total darkness, with all the doors that then existed closed, that would be a place where an altered state of consciousness peak effect would be achieved. And so I think that some of what sound like out-of-body journeys that are described in the ancient Egyptian funerary texts, in the pyramid text, for example, may be based on direct experience by ancient Egyptian priests, if you like. Out-of-body journeys brought on perhaps by psychedelics. Of course, my critics will laugh at that, but I suggest they go take a pipe of DMT and see how they feel after that.